All right, good afternoon. It's been a while since we posted an update. Brian and Brian here, you've seen both of us in the videos at different times. And what we're up to. Been a little bit of a pause as we've been doing some things with the airplane. Not recording very much, but we've been on a little bit of a mission to look for a new one. So that's what we're going to give you an update on today and tell you what we're going to be doing in the next several days. So Brian, what have we been up to?
Yeah, well, as Brian said, we've been shopping for a different airplane for a long time, and I think any pilot who is interested in airplane ownership kind of casually shops for airplanes at all times, and I think that's kind of what we've been doing. And then all of a sudden, this airplane came on the market that really kind of caught our eye, and so we started looking into it, and next thing you know, we are gonna buy it. So it's actually it's a 1995 Mooney M20J MSE, and we chose the MSE for a number of reasons. First of all, when we bought the Warrior that you guys have seen in all of our videos, it was in 2011. Brian was in flight training at that time.
I think I had 11 hours at the time.
Yeah. So we bought that airplane with the idea that it would be a good airplane for a new pilot to fly, with the idea that at some point in the future we would probably get a different airplane that was a bit more capable, a little faster, better range, better for traveling. Not that we haven't used our Warrior for traveling, we certainly have, but we were just looking for something a little bit faster. And the Mooney MSE is a pretty amazing airplane. On roughly the same fuel burn per hour, it'll go an easy 145, 150 knots, as opposed to the 115 knots that we're doing today.
Right.
It also has 64 gallons of fuel on board instead of the 48 that we have today. So what that means, with the same fuel burn per hour, the considerably faster speed because of better aerodynamic design, and also the increased fuel capacity, we can make much longer one-leg trips without having to stop for fuel. And there's some other factors too involved. I have a fair amount of time in the Mooney J models. I did all my flight training for the commercial license in a J model Mooney, so I kind of have some familiarity with them, and am a fan. And one of the design features that we'll just quickly talk about and then move on from it is the fact that the Mooney has a solid wing spar that goes all the way from one wingtip to the other, where Piper products and Beechcraft products, the wings bolt onto the side of the fuselage, where in a Mooney you have a solid wing spar and a solid wing where the fuselage sits on top of that. And what that means is in high stress conditions or over time, when you're looking at corrosion and metal fatigue, the Moonies don't break. They just do not break. So that's a level of comfort that I personally appreciate about those airplanes. So anyway, that's enough about that.
Okay, great. So when we bought the Warrior, of course, we're down in North Carolina where we live, and that one we found up north of Portland, Maine, almost as far north as you could go in the continental United States to fly it back down here. And so the new one we found, the Mooney, is located in Camarillo, California, which is just north of Los Angeles. So we are going to head out tomorrow morning on a commercial flight out to Burbank to go look at the airplane. We've already had a bunch of reviews done for the airplane itself, both in the logs and an inspection of it. So now it's the time to go out there and want us to look at it ourselves and make sure there's nothing that we're not aware of.
Yeah.
And then once we're out there, of course, Saturday and Sunday, the banks are closed, so we do have to wait until Monday to actually finish the transaction, and then we'll begin our flight back. And the flight looks like it's going to be just under 2,100 miles, which, depending on the winds that are out there, would be a several-day trip usually. And we're not looking to really overdo it. It's a new airplane to us. We just want to take it easy, see a bit of the countryside on the way. So that's what our plan is. as you can see from the flight plan we have, we're going to start at Camarillo. Day one, if all goes well and we're able to depart as early as we think, we'll fly across Palm Springs over to the Phoenix area and stop at Chandler for lunch. Mm-hmm. And then, likewise, if weather and everything else holds up in the time, the next stop will be going a bit south towards Tucson and then over towards Deming, New Mexico, flying further east into Texas and stopping overnight at Odessa.
And how long are those legs, Brian? I think the first leg to Chandler, which is just south of Phoenix, I think that's about 2.5 hours. So we'll take on some fuel there, and then I think the next leg to Odessa, Texas, is about 3 hours and something, 3 hours and a half, or something.
That's about
like
right.
That.
Yeah.
With the 64 gallons of fuel on board, the airplane is capable of 5 to 6 hour legs very comfortably. So on this trip, we've planned it so that our legs are in the 2.5 to 3.5 hour range. So that's comfortable for us to be in the airplane and also well within the fuel capacity that we have.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's our anticipated day one, and then day two would be flying east up through Abilene, just north of Dallas.
Now, I have said before that I will not be able to fly past Dallas without humming the theme song to Dallas, right?
Right.
So just expect that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after that tune in the airplane, we'll go past Texarkana and further north, just south of Little Rock, to the Pine Bluffs, which has a apparently great restaurant on the field.
Yeah, that Pine Bluff Airport, according to the reviews that I've done, is a great place. Restaurant on the field, good food, nice people. So be a good fuel and lunch stop there.
Absolutely. Then from there, we'll continue east, headed towards Asheville, where that Brian's father is, and we'll stop and see him for a couple days before heading back to our home airport just north of Durham. So looking forward to it. It should be a good flight. I'm sure there'll be some adventures along the way.
Yep.
Probably some things we don't expect, but we'll take our time, enjoy the trip, and get it on back here.
Yep. And it's going to be, at least the first big chunk of that trip is going to be flying over terrain that I'm not familiar with, and I would say you're not familiar with either, really. Desert terrain, some pretty high elevations, very hot temperatures. I think in Phoenix we're looking at 110 degrees on Monday. So we're looking at the density, altitude calculations and engine performance, aircraft performance, and so forth. And of course we're taking our trusty personal locator beacon here. This is a 406 megahertz locator beacon. So if we were to find ourselves on the ground in the desert somewhere, we can push the button on this thing and literally call the National Guard to come help us. So along with a couple of gallons of water that we're going to put in the airplane just to be safe. So
right,
we're thinking about that type of stuff.
Absolutely. So unless you have anything else you want to update, that's more or less the beginning of our trip.
No, that's pretty much it. So we'll do some videos along the way and get them uploaded at some point. So wish us luck, and we'll check in with you guys a bit later.
Sounds great.